So SummerSlam is this weekend, so it's about that time again that we kind of put on our nerd hats and start to theorise about what might actually happen at this year's SummerSlam, what the results are going. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to be. What I think the results are going to be, why I think that those are going to be the results, and also give some indicator about where things might be heading as a result post SummerSlam. Basically, yeah, let's start off by basically saying, I don't really, let me start this video off by kind of letting out a little bit of a vent, a little bit of a rant, because I don't feel like I'm not particularly pumped for this year's SummerSlam, I have to say. I don't really know where WWE Creative have been kind of like lately. It feels like they've kind of like dropped the ball too much. But, you know, I'm not going to kind of get too much into that, because obviously that's not why you kind of came here. You obviously clicked on this video to see what my predictions are for SummerSlam. So obviously I'll kind of like stay on topic and just kind of like maybe kind of just elaborate on maybe those points with WWE Creative, where and when, you know, they're kind of like relevant to the matches. So yeah, let's start off with Liv Morgan and Io Sky, and straight off this is kind of like one example that I can kind of like elaborate on. I think that both Liv and Io have been given a real disservice. There's been literally no build to this match whatsoever. We should be a lot more pumped for this match than we actually are. I think the same can be said for Liv Morgan's title run in total. I think it was stated that she just had like the belt for like 100 days, something like that, and zero defenses in that time. So it's just kind of like which I think is shocking. It's shocking for somebody especially of Liv Morgan's stature, but there just has not been a single feud like post Stephanie Valkyria's injury, that they just haven't, you know, come up with anything. That she's just been kind of like a side character. Yeah, to the point where it kind of makes you wonder like why they had to have Rhea Ripley relinquish her title, you know, in light of her injury. I know that's kind of like par and parcel when you have like kind of like a long-standing injury, but if Liv Morgan has not had they have not booked any title defenses for Liv Morgan in like 3 months, and you know what I mean, you do kind of like have to ask questions. So yeah, I should be a lot more pumped for this match, and I actually am, considering as how brilliant that Liv Morgan and Io Sky are, how, you know, how much the star powers that they have, and I have no doubt that the two will put on a banger if they are given the enough runway to actually, you know, showcase what they can actually do in the ring together. I have no doubt that I still believe that the potential is still there, that these two can put on a real big show. And honestly, it's one of the matches I have to say I really not that confident on who's going to win, because I think it could go either way. I think the most intriguing story, just off the top of my head, that maybe WWE Creative can do kind of like coming out of this match, is maybe, especially like with Raquel Rodriguez now just winning a belt on the late on the Go Home episode of Raw, which I think is great for Raquel. I think she's had a great 2026, so I think it's like fully deserved. But it's kind of like mixed feelings, because I do really feel really bad for Sol Ruca. I think she's just another real great talent that the WWE have just kind of dropped the ball on. So yeah, but basically just with those dynamics, I think that an intriguing storyline that they could tell is basically Liv Morgan losing the belt here, and then suddenly Raquel Rodriguez is the Judgment Day member with the belt, and it's kind of like she kind of grows jealous, and that sort of like, kind of starts the disintegration of the Judgment Day, and we can kind of like move towards that feud, which has been teased forever and a day now. So I mean, I think that's kind of like, just off the top of my head, probably the most intriguing storyline that they can do, and therefore, like, I would have to say, like, back Io Sky to kind of win here. The problem is, I'm not confident at all that that's actually where WWE Creative are at, and I don't think that they're actually necessarily going to do that. I just have a really horrible feeling that we're going to have like Liv Morgan retain here, especially seeing as Io Sky and Liv Morgan have already had this match, and obviously Io won the last match. So just with those like wrestling tropes, so I kind of like feel like that I feel that they could have like just Liv Morgan retain in here, and then we basically just somehow, I mean, assuming this, I mean, it all kind of depends on the time frame of Stephanie Valkyrie's injury, if she's fit to return or not. I think if Stephanie Valkyrie is fit to return here, then I think she will return here, and I think that will make me kind of more cemented in my feelings that Liv Morgan is going to retain here, and we're just going to have, then we're going to basically just go pick, then we're going to pick like the Liv Morgan and Stephanie Valkyrie feud up, and Io Sky is just going to fall into like oblivion as let so many talents go, which I think would be just absolutely catastrophic. I don't, I feel like that would just be maybe kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back for me. But so like I said, that's not what I kind of want to come out of this. But I'm just saying that there is a part of me that very much can see this, and I know that if you search your feelings, you can see it too. So I mean, so yeah, I mean, although I do want to see Io Sky win here, I've said in my previous videos, I'm a massive Io Sky fan. I think that she should beat everybody. I think she should win all the titles in the division. I think she should go on and dethrone Roman Reigns, and I just think she should win the lot. But I just don't think that we're gonna see that. I do feel like, although I do want to see a Sky win, I can't shake this feeling that Liv Morgan is going to retain here, and we're just going to kind of use that as a catalyst to kind of pick up the Liv Morgan and Stephanie Valkyrie feud. So that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for that Liv Morgan retains here, and potentially we see Stephanie Valkyrie return as well. Kind of like possibly post the match as well. So then we go into the Hell in the Cell match with Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. Didn't really know what the whole weigh-in segment was on this Go Home episode of Raw. Like, I just like Hell in a Cell has never been boxing. It's never been like one that's been determined by kind of like weight division. I just thought that was like really weird. So that didn't work for me. Yeah, I mean, I think the build to this has been okay, but it hasn't really necessarily landed in quite the way that maybe they wanted it to. I think that it's been great that Oba has had time on the mic here. I think that, he's had that kind of chance to kind of like really showcase that side of his game, and show that he really is kind of like the complete package. And I know that with like Paul Heyman kind of doing all his usual promotions of Brock Lesnar, and it's all kind of feels like he's trying to like really build Brock Lesnar up, but ultimately he's kind of getting over Femi over. I thought it was good that he did mention that Brock Lesnar has never been beaten in Hell in a Cell, so when Obafemi defeats him in Hell in a Cell, then that just kind of like adds to just getting Obafemi even more over, and kind of like cementing himself as kind of like the next big thing. So yeah, ultimately I think that's what we're going to do here. I think it's one of the I think it's one of the most no-brainer bookings that you can make. You can just have Oberfemi win here. I don't think it's going to be a squash match. I do think that we are going to basically get they are going to utilize a Hell in the Cell quite a bit. These two are going to like absolutely destroy each other. We are going to see Brock and like quite a few offenses here. I think that. But but yeah, I think that this could be like kind of like a pretty more long-winded and brutal match than obviously we've seen in the previous two encounters with but yeah, ultimately I think Oberfemi has to win here. And so yeah, moving on then to CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. I think that this is going to be a really good match. I think it's going to be I think that it's going, again, similar to Io Sky and Liv Morgan, just, the star power that you have there is just, undeniable. So you just know that these two can create some real magic in the ring. I think CM Punk wins. I think that as this build has gone on, the more I've kind of like become more confident that CM Punk does retain. I think it's maybe just a little bit too early, maybe to take it off CM Punk. I think we could maybe potentially have Randy Orton return here. I think if you want, not that I think Cody Rhodes needs any protection in the defeat because he's just at that level. But knowing obviously how WWE and wrestling in general kind of likes to work these things. Yeah, if they do want to keep Cody protected, they could have Randy Orton making a return here. Again, it all depends on kind of like similar to the Stephanie Valkyrie thing, where it all depends on the time frame of Randy Orton's injury. So yeah, but I think that if he is fit to return, I think that there's no reason why just especially seeing as WWE likes those big moments, and I'm sure this is going to be the main event. So this is, that's just a real good spot to maybe kind of like finish on. But ultimately, I think that CM Punk retains here. So then we have the six-man tag team match between LA Knight, Solo Sikoa and Royce Keys taking on the Usos and Jacob Fatu. I think that this could be a really interesting match. I do have a fear that they are going to turn Solo Sikoa heel again and have him kind of like join the Bloodline. I'm hoping and I'm praying that doesn't happen. I'm not another theory about this match is that Royce Keys might join the Bloodline. I'm not really a big fan of that neither. I think Royce Keys is kind of like in a really quite good place right now. But yeah, I if I did have Royce Keys join the Bloodline, I could make my peace with that. I just don't have Solo Sikoa do a turn, because I just think that he's getting so over as a babyface, and I just think that he's just so entertaining on the mic. I thought that his little promo with the Usos on last night on the Go Home episode of Raw was like one of the highlights of our episode. So yeah, just leaves Solo Sikoa is doing good. Do you know what I mean? So just don't dabble with that. I do think that the bloodline win here. I do. I can't really necessarily justify it too much. I'm just going to justify it maybe on the terms that they're a more they've got more synergy of course as a tag team or as a group than rather than obviously LA Knight, Risco and Royce Keys is more of kind of like a mishmash kind of thing. So yeah, just kind of like on that basis, I'm going for that the bloodline win here. So then next up we have Gunther against Nick Aldis. I think this is going to be a really interesting match. I know that obviously Nick Aldis has a wrestling career, so I think it's really good for him. Just it's one of those matches that you can look beyond the spectacle and just look at the human side of it. Just think, wow, how great it is, for that guy, for him to kind of like have this moment. Yeah, in that, like, I don't think Nick Aldis needs to win here. I think the fact that he's got this match here is already, he's got this moment, is already kind of like a win for him. So yeah, I think we need to start building Gunther back up here. And it kind of starts with here. So I think he's another one who's kind of like WWE have kind of dropped the ball on a bit. So yeah, let's build Gunther back up. Yeah, I think I think Gunther wins here, but it's going to be an interesting match. I really do. I am for somebody who's only known Nick Aldis as a GM. I'm really intrigued to see, what Nick Aldis has to bring as a wrestler. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by that match. But yeah, not a doubt in my mind that Gunther wins. Again, it's just one of those that's the easiest thing to book in the world. So yeah, next up we have the Bella Twins and Paige taking on Fatal Influence. I think Fatal Influence have to win here. I think they're just on that trajectory. I think that they're, doing really good work. I think they're getting really over as a heel faction. Yeah, I think that they're just on a really good trajectory at the minute, and I think it just makes perfect sense to kind of keep that momentum. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that that Fatal Influence win here. I think that it's possibly that maybe the Bellas turn heel again and turn on Paige. Maybe we have a spot here, but maybe they feel like Paige cost them the match, maybe. They blame Paige. I think that's kind of like on the card. I don't think necessarily it's going to happen here, but I think it is somewhere where we could go kind of very, very soon post SummerSlam. I think we could see it on an episode of Raw or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of like my prediction for that. Next up we have Penta against Chad Gable, and I think that this is a match that could actually steal the night, if maybe both nights, the whole event. Very now and again you do get these matches where they're not the headliner, they're not the big kind of like thing that's going to be like on the poster to really sell the event, but you look at it and you go, this could actually steal the show, just in terms of the in-ring ability, just in terms of all of that. I think that this could absolutely be possibly the match, at least has the potential to be the match of the event. So I think that obviously because of again, Chad Gable is just one that's been on this trajectory ever since the Mask versus Mask match in AAA. So yeah, it just makes perfect sense to keep on with that, keep that trajectory. Yeah, I mean, Penta's had the title for quite some time. So yeah, I think that it makes perfect sense for Chad Gable to pick up a win here and just continue that momentum and just continue to give that guy the push that he completely deserves at this point. So Chad Gable, I'm picking to win here. Then we have the interim ladder match for the vacated women's title. It's an interim title, which I just think is such a nonsensical choice to make. I think the fact that making this an interim type thing just really cheapens it. It really gives it a sense of like real low stakes. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been based on, so basically we have Tiffany Stratton here, we have Jade Cargill here, we have Chelsea Green, we have Charlotte Flair, we have Julia competing in this ladder match for this interim title. I think it depends on how they will want to do it. If they want to go basically by the very kind of like definition and they just want this as an interim title, they just want somebody to hold the title and just kind of like keep it warm until Rhea Ripley is fit to come back and then just hand it back to her and then they could just pick up her title reign. I think if they're gonna do that, I think that is an absolute nonsensical decision to make. But if that's the way they're going with it, I think it makes sense to put it on somebody like a Chelsea Green here, who I think is a talent who would be happy to kind of like do that. If they were going to like have the winner of this defend the title against Rhea Ripley when she comes back, I think it would make sense for somebody like Jade Cargill to win here, because obviously they already have that kind of bad blood. Yeah, so it depends on kind of like how WWE want to play it. But if this is just an interim title and just keeping the title warm for Rhea Ripley, I think that it makes sense to put Chelsea, maybe put it on Chelsea Green here. So that's what I'm going to pick. So yeah, then we have Danhausen against Dominic Mysterio on a Money on the Pole match. I think this is. I think it's fair to say that this is going to be quite a goofy match. I think that this is going to be the light relief. I don't mind that. I think that I wasn't a big fan of the spot that they did with Danhausen and Joe Hendry and that on and the Judgment Day on the Let's Go Home episode of Raw. But yeah, generally, yeah, I don't mind that goofy side of wrestling. As long as I can have a chuckle, have a good time, I'm happy. So yeah, I think this will be kind of like a fun match. I think Danhausen can win here. I think that we can, and then hopefully we can just draw a line under this now and kind of like move on and maybe put more of a focal point on the Judgment Day, kind of like separate and so yeah, but that's my pick. I'm gonna go for Danhausen winning the Monday on the pole. Next up, we have a Sami Zayn against Finn Balor, which I think is going to be a fantastic match. I really do. It's another one of those that I just think the two styles really complement each other really well. So I have no doubt that these two can put on a real banger match. I think that Finn Balor could win here. I think from a story point of view, it kind of makes sense. I think that, especially with Sami Zayn just losing the title and having to jump through these hoops, I think that if Sami Zayn loses here, I think that you can just continue telling this story of sending Sami Zayn down this kind of like heel path type thing, and him just becoming more and more frustrated and more, and just continue sending him down a heel path. So I think that, so yeah, I think that we can do that whilst also continuing to finally, hopefully, I say this with bated breath, I take this with a truckload of soul, but we may just finally be looking at the Finn Balor push that maybe a lot of Finn Balor fans have been kind of like wanting for so long. Don't quote me on it. I might have just kind of like cursed it like Danhausen, but we might, and that's all I can hope for. So yeah, I think if we continue to tell the story of just this descent of Sami Zayn, whilst also just continuing this little push that Finn Balor's been getting lately, I think that's let's do it. So yeah, Finn Balor, I'm picking to win here. Then next up we have Trick Williams against Baron Corbin. I think this will be another really fun match, especially since we haven't seen Baron Corbin wrestle in such a while. I'm going to pick like Trick Williams to win here. Something's telling me that this isn't going to be a one and done thing. I think they're going to maybe have, stretch this out. I think that maybe we do we find a way to weave Carmelo Hayes and into this going further down the line. Maybe we revisit this as a kind of like a triple threat, and maybe we can have like Baron Corbin potentially win there. So yeah, I'm just going for that trick for now. At least I think Trick Williams retains here. But yeah, just on the basis I don't think that this is a one and done. I think they're going to elongate this feud in one way or another. So if they kick a can down the street, they can always kind of like just buy their time and then put it on Baron Corbin, maybe. So yeah, that's what I'm going for here. And then lastly, we have Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns. I think this will be another fantastic match. Obviously, these two just obviously have such a long history that they're just going to have obviously really great chemistry. They're going to put on a really banger match. But I think when all is said and done, I do think a Roman Reigns retains. And I think that for a number of reasons. I think that it kind of like just fits the story arc that they're telling here, where Seth Rollins has always been this kind of like monkey on the back of Roman, where Seth has always been screwing Roman over, whether it be through the Shield betrayal, or the heist of a century, or the triple threat match at WrestleMania. He's always been the monkey on Roman's back, so that Roman has to win, and he has to win definitively. So I don't think there's going to be any shenanigans here, at least not from the bloodline anyway, because I think that the story kind of dictates a Roman win kind of clean here and win kind of definitively, so he can kind of have that kind of like stamp. I mean, obviously the last couple of matches of Roman Reigns he's won clean, so I think just continue that. I think that's really refreshing. So yeah, just continue that. Also, I think another reason why Roman can retain here is because I think that coming out of this, I think that we can maybe then just circle back round to Obafemi winning the King of the Ring and going after Roman. I think that's just something that's very easy to sell as kind of like the ruler and the tribal chief. I just think that's really easy to sell. So I think that is another reason why that makes me think Roman is going to retain here. And also, we had this on the Go Home episode of Raw, we did have obviously Seth standing tall over Roman after he stomped him into the chair, and just on that kind of like old wrestling trope, whoever's kind of like standing tall on the Go Home episode is kind of like losing at the PLE. So they're the three main reasons why I think that Roman does retain here. So yeah, that's pretty much my predictions done for SummerSlam. Please feel free to let me know down in the comment section about what your own predictions are, what your own little fan theories are. Also, let me know where you're at kind of like with WWE Creative at the minute. Do you agree with this kind of like narrative that WWE has been in a real creative lull lately? Are you excited about this year's of SummerSlam? What do you think of the build? All of that stuff. Let me know down in the comment section. And as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. You guys take care.